Two-step equations. Now what we're doing today is pretty simple. If you understood our last lesson, we're going to be doing the same thing except that we're going to be combining both of the procedures. Now the two procedures were addition, subtraction, and the other procedure was multiplication, division. And what we're going to be doing in this lesson is both in the same equation. Now as you can see, I have a negative 20 that I need to eliminate. I also have a coefficient of 4 that I need to eliminate. Now I'm going to need to eliminate this by multiplication. Actually, I'm going to be eliminating it through division. And I'm going to be eliminating this through addition. That is, I'm going to have to add 20 to both sides. Now the way we do this is we do addition, subtraction first until we get our x's alone. We have 4 x's. We need to get them alone. So let's add 20 to both sides of the equation. There we go. We've added it to the left side of the equation. And whatever we do to the left side of the equation, we have to do to the right side of the equation. So our units on this side of the equation are gone. Negative 20 plus 20 is 0. So we're not going to bring that down. We're going to bring down the 4x. We're going to bring down the equal sign. And negative 8 plus 20 is positive 12. And now we have 4x equals 12. Now this looks real familiar, doesn't it? That's right. When x has a coefficient, we divide by that coefficient. So 4 over 4 is 1. And we divided by 4 on this side of the equation. So what should we do on this side of the equation? That's right. We need to divide by 4 on this side of the equation. And so 4 over 4 is going to be 1x. Oh good, you remembered that we don't put a 1 in front of the x. And 12 divided by 4 is 3, and that is our answer. Now why don't we check our work? Our original problem was 4x minus 20 equals negative 8. So we're going to substitute or replace the x with our answer, which was 3. X equals 3. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 minus 20 is negative 8. And negative 8 equals negative 8. So our answer is correct. X equals 3. Now let's try another problem. 5x plus 7 equals 7. So what are we going to do first? That's right, addition and subtraction. We are going to minus the 7 on the left-hand side and do the same thing on the right-hand side. Let's add them together. And 5x equals 0. 5x equals 0. Well, that's kind of curious. Can we divide 0? We sure can, and any number that's divided into 0 is 0. And 5 over 5 is going to be 1. And x equals 0. Now be careful. 0 over 5 is not the same as 5 over 0. 0 over 5 is 0. 5 over 0 is a different number that we're not going to get into right now. It's just important for you to know that they're not the same. And here's another issue. Remember this? This is what we did for 5 years in elementary school. 2 plus 3 equals n. Well, we don't use n anymore. We use x. We're grown-ups. We're in high school. Start using x. Don't fall back into n. And the other thing is, n was always on the right-hand side. Now, x, the variable, and by the way, in elementary school we weren't even calling it a variable, but x can appear anywhere in this equation. It can be the first number, the second number, it can be the last number, it can be the number on the bottom, and we're not used to that. Well, the magic of algebra is that it doesn't matter where you put x. If you know the rules, you can always solve for x. So let's try another problem. That's what I was talking about. The x is not where it's supposed to be. It's got a coefficient in front of it. It's negative. There's all sorts of problems with that. But we can solve all of those problems with the algebra principles we've been learning. And we know that the first principle is that we learned today, we need to get rid of this unit first. Let's add -4 to both sides of the equation. And that will be 0. So we're not going to bring this down. We're going to bring the -2x down, the equal sign down. 10 minus 4 is 6. So now we need to eliminate the -2. How are we going to eliminate -2? By dividing by -2. And we're going to divide both sides of the equation by -2. -2 divided by -2 is positive 1x. Thank you for not putting the 1 in front of the x. And 6 divided by -2 is 3, right? Wrong. It's -3. Now, when you have a division problem with one negative number, it's going to be a negative answer, a negative quotient. X equals -3. And of course, you can do your check to make sure that that's correct. Let's try one more problem. 8 minus x equals 2. And so we have a negative coefficient on our variable. The first thing we're going to do is eliminate the 8 with a -8 on both sides of the equation. Now 8 minus 8 is going to be 0, and 2 minus 8 is going to be -6. And don't forget to bring down the negative x. There we go, -x equals -6. Now we need to get rid of the negative sign in front of the x. There's two ways we can do that. Since that negative represents -1, we can divide by -1. -1 divided by -1 leaves us with x. And -6 divided by -1 equals 6, and that is our answer. Now I said there were two ways to do this. We could have multiplied both sides by -1. -1 times -1 is just plain old vanilla x. And that's what we want. And -6 times -1 is 6, the same answer that we had when we divided by -1. So to get rid of a negative x, you can divide by -1 or you can multiply by -1. I actually like to multiply by -1. Either way will get you to the correct answer. And if you need more practice with these problems, Mr. Wallace has a lot more practice problems on page 35. And if you do your homework on page 36, you'll be an expert at this.